All right, folks, we're going live right here at 11:15. A big thanks to our friends at East West Digital Media for allowing us to go live right here in their home office. Great group of guys here at East West Digital Media. Last week, we talked about this whole idea of failure versus struggle. What does it mean to fail? What does it mean to struggle? I really challenged us to kind of change our mindset and our wording. I don't think it's our goal that we would teach our kids to fail. I believe this. We got some feedback last week on failure, and they really do need to learn how to fail. Here's what we know about today's culture. And again, when I talk about this generation, I talk about anyone who's living and breathing. We're all a part of the problem, or we're all a part of the solution. So here's what we know about this generation. We are failing at an epic rate. And we're failing at things that we haven't failed at before. Listen, marriages are failing. People, we don't stay in church. We don't continue on in sports. At the first sign of difficulty, here's what we're doing. We're failing. Because here's what failure is. Failure is when I bow out when things get hard. So the goal for us as parents, as coaches, as leaders, as teachers, as those with influence and who have impact on other people, the goal is not to teach them how to fail. We're living in a society that knows how to fail. What we want to do is we want to teach them how to struggle so that we can prevent that failure. I think one of the issues that came up over and over last week, because again, kudos to you guys out there. Thanks so much for the interaction and for sending messages and for asking questions and things like that. Hopefully we'll be able to get back with all of you. But here's what I think we have to define. We have to define what failure is. So one of the things I know about failure is that failure is a noun. I actually looked this definition up. So failure is this: the omission of expected or required action. So failure is a noun. It's an event. It's something that takes place. There are going to be times in life where we don't get what we want, but it doesn't have to be failure if we let the event continue. Last week we looked at failure ends with a period. Success has a comma, a semicolon. The sentence is to be continued. Struggle, the definition of struggle is this: make forceful. I love this. You listening? Struggle means, it's a verb, it's an action. Struggle means to make forceful or violent efforts to get free of restraint or constriction. So we're going to free ourselves of this restraint. A lot of times the reason we're quitting today and we're failing is because at the first sign of restraint, here's what we're doing. I don't like that. I want out. I'll go try something different. Again, as parents, a lot of times what we do at the first sign of restraint or struggle, here's what we do with our children. We start a new team. We get a new coach. We buy a new piece of equipment. At the end of the day, struggle is very, very healthy. And last week we looked at it's organic struggle, relationship, and responsibility that really set our children up for long-term success. Because two things I know are always going to be present in our life. Relationships. We're always going to have to interact with other human beings, which is super helpful, and it's very healthy. We live in a Bluetooth society, but we need to learn how to communicate with other people. Even parenting with our own kids is when we ask someone to do something and they don't get it done. It's super, super frustrating. So we want to make sure that we're allowing them to struggle early in that area of relationship and responsibility so that they have the resiliency tank to continue on when things really matter. Because as we get older, the stakes get higher and the consequences get a little bit more and more. So as we look at failure, here's the first thing I think we have to do. We have to define success. Shout out to my guy, Eric Phillips with A Better Way Athletics, who really helped me understand, and we kind of wrestled with this. But we have to decide and define success. Here's what I know in coaching. Here's what I know in parenting. Here's what I know as a human being, because we're all the same, is that we all want the desired outcome. It's why I'm not against participation trophies, because I think you can have a lot of success and get third place. Sometimes third place is overachieving for this non-athletic kid who can't chew gum and walk at the same time. Listen, him getting third place is more impressive than the guy or the girl who got first place. So the first thing we have to do as we look at this whole idea of failure and struggle is we have to decide, maybe as a family, maybe as an individual, maybe in the lives of our athletes, if we're a coach, maybe as a team, is how do we define success? What does success look like? For me, attendance is a part of success. Hey, are our people here every day on a daily basis, and are they giving great effort? Are they present? Are they willing? Do they let their yes be yes? Do we hold true to our core values and all of those things? So once we have a guideline for how do we define success, we all know we want the desired outcome. I've never met a coach who didn't want to win a state championship at the high school level. Never met a coach who didn't want to win a national championship at the collegiate level. I've never met an athlete who didn't want to start and be the star player on their team. But if those are the only things we're after, then what we could do, we could view our athletic career as a failure. When in all honesty, it wasn't a failure. It was a complete success because it taught you the things on this journey that are important for you to be successful in life. We call those global and stable attributes. They stand the test of time. They cross all boundaries. So as you dive into, how do I allow my kid to struggle? What does it really look like for them to fail? As a family, as a coach, as a team, really look at how do we define success? I promise you that in my family, we're not defining success with, well, does our kid get a college scholarship or not? Listen, our kids pick their parents wrong. Look at me. My wife is 5'4". They're not going to be 6'1", 6'2", elite level athletes probably. What we want is, if we're going to choose this sport journey, or we're going to choose band or academics or whatever, what we want to do is we want to define success the right way. Proud moment. Can I just brag on my daughter? Last night she came home from volleyball, club volleyball. We're going big time. But she came home from volleyball and she said, hey, my coach was talking to me about being a setter. She's always been a really good libero. Here's what she said to me. No prompting. I'm working on the computer. She says, I just told the coach, hey, whatever position you need me at, I'll be willing to do it. Success, exclamation mark. That was awesome for me as a parent. Now, did she mean it? I don't know. She probably still wants to be a libero, but here's the deal. We've got to teach our children that this journey, this process produces something that is way more beneficial than a scholarship, than playing time, than all these different things. Because it's at the end of the day, those things are going to come to a close. And we want to make sure that they have those qualities and those attributes that can help them be successful in life. So as a family, as a coach, make sure we cannot determine failure if we have not first defined success. And if we define success the right way, I think we'll have a much better chance of eliminating failure in our kids' lives, because we'll allow them to struggle and allow them to walk through those things. Success is much more important than outcome alone. I don't want my kids just to win first place. I want them to be successful. So if we can define that, it will help us as we target that and make decisions on this journey. I had a unique question come in right before today's topic. A coach said, hey, well, what if you've gone all in as a parent? I wish I would have heard these things forever ago. What if you've gone all in and you've pushed and you've spent and you've invested all this time, energy, and all these different things, and then at the end of the day, it's just probably not in your kids' cards. They probably just don't have the talent to succeed at a high level. First of all, let's do this. How do we define success? If success is playing college athletics, then most of us are going to be failures. All right, we're going to be, because most of us aren't going to even participate in college athletics. How do we define success? So even in our children's lives, here's what we want to make sure of. We want to make sure that their identity is not in sport and sport alone. It's why I believe we should always focus more on spiritual development than skill development, because at some point skill development will cease and spiritual development will remain the foundation that they live and build their lives on. So we have to make sure we're not like defining success and putting these things in their mind. They say that kids are motivated, and parents, it's not kids, it's really parents. They want three things: playing time, position, potential scholarship. Well, if all you talk about as a parent are those three things, and the only way you define success are by those three things, then guess what? Your kid's probably going to feel like a failure at some point. But if you talk about the journey and the struggle and all these things they can learn on it, then I think they will not feel that way, no matter where their talent level ends. And then I would say this in closing, as we wrap up today. Here's when I was a coach, here was my goal. I wanted to move the needle in the athlete's life. We know this. If an athlete is a scale of 1 to 10, and you receive this young man or this young lady and they're a 5, then what we want to do is we want to move that needle to a 6 or a 7. The same thing is true in parenting. Listen, our goal as parents is not to create Derek Jeters. All right, Derek Jeter's parents created Derek Jeter. So maybe we should have let your kid be born by Derek Jeter's parents. But at the end of the day, here's what we want to do. We want to move the needle in their life. If they're on the sports journey, then here's what we want to do. We want to see improvement. We want to see resiliency grow. We want to see responsibility grow. We want to see them interact better with other players, other coaches, their own coaches, other teammates, and things like that. And if we do that, then here's what we do. We give them a chance to stay in the room, whatever that room will be. And we know it's not about skill. It's about developing that character that allows them to stay in whatever room they can get to. So as we close, a reminder, we always want to remind you with this. Coaches, if you're a coach out there, coach them hard. It's your job, but love them harder. Parents, we want to remind you of this. You are not their sport agent. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. It's okay. Teach them the things they need to learn to be successful in life. If the sports journey helps, keep doing it. But don't be their sport agent. And make sure that every time you leave that ball field, that basketball gym, that swimming pool, that wrestling mat, that football stadium, whatever, make sure that you let them know how much you love to watch them play, because that's going to be the thing that motivates them to keep getting back out there and playing that game that you love so much and that you hope that they fall in love with too. So big news, we're 2 weeks away from our parent conference. Our parent seminar is going to be held at Silverdale Creekside. That's Monday, November 5th. You can go to ChattanoogaFCA.org for that registration link, or you can email me, you can DM me or Chad Pike, and we'll get you a flyer so that you can post those up. Our goal is to make a difference in the lives of parents and coaches and restore the joy as we go on this journey we call sport. Thanks so much for tuning in today.